GM, welcome to the Brickhouse of Art. I'm your host, Brick Astley. The purpose of this talk show is to talk to artists on and off the blockchain. Today's guest is not only a friend and a collector of mine, just a fantastic human being, helping co-found Soul City Radio. He is an urban photographer based in Rotterdam, Netherlands. Loves creating memories through the eye by capturing scenes to represent its story, pursuing beauty and expressing unconditional love at any moment, portraying a message through art. John, I want to welcome you to the Brickhouse of Art. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Rick. It's a pleasure to be here. And as always, it's great to be able to have any opportunity to talk about my work.
Hey, no, the honor is all on this side here of the screen. Very grateful. I got to meet you in Twitter Spaces early on in 2022. We were bumping around in some photography spaces, and then we became hosts and co-hosts of some various photography spaces. You're currently working on Soul City Radio with the host of The Shutter, as well as a co-founder. Can you talk to me a little bit about what brought you to Soul City Radio and how you came aboard the blockchain?
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's been a whole journey of getting on board into Solana after having a bit of a background on crypto investing. I've always been interested on this new technology of the blockchain and all of these new things, searching with cryptos. I've always been, since a couple of years back, I've been a firmly believer of that, thinking that there's a change going on in the world and related to technology, and I've always been interested in that. So I already had a bit of a background on investing. I knew about Solana NFTs actually through a couple of friends of mine that were already investing on it, and I got into it through PFPs, not really knowing where the value on PFPs were. So it was quite something new when I got into it. And at the moment that I got into Solana, there was no one-on-one art, so I was still doing my things as a photographer here in Rotterdam and IRL freelance jobs and just on social media and Web2 stuff. But once Exchange Art appeared and other marketplaces, and I started to see that one-on-one art was starting to search in Solana, that was in the moment when we actually met each other in the spaces with the Twitter spaces of onboarding photographers into Solana. And it just happened all of a sudden that I really fell in love with that sense of community that there was here in Solana, where everything was starting, and all of the artists that were jumping in. It felt like really a familiar and close space, and it has been just growing since then. Then we started to meet as well with Patrick doing the spaces, and Jay and Neverland, and after doing all of these spaces, they also started doing the Rise Before Grind. And well, we got to talk together, the five of us, and we decided to do a project together where we could put all of these shows and communities under one same umbrella, where we see that there's a need in Solana for have all of these spaces and communities to be found by not only people from other blockchains, but also people from Web2 and people from outside of Web3.
So it's a really amazing work that you've been putting in, the daily grind with the Shutter. And can you tell me what days and times the Shutter is, so that way people that are on Twitter Spaces that are following you can jump in and join the conversation, and give me a little bit of insight on what the Shutter is like. What's the vibe of the spaces you host?
Yeah, definitely. Well, the Shatter runs every day from Monday to Friday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. We have it divided a bit by topics. We have like different topics. For example, some days we share photographers in the space. Some days we just do an open mic space. On Thursdays, for example, we always have the interview shows where we bring photographers to learn about their journey. And normally the vibe is set up in a way where it really goes through the flow. The origin of this space was that everything started with the concept of moving photographers to Solana, and eventually it has grown time by time, by actually making it a bit more structured. But we always have like that close vibe of anyone that comes in. We really want to let everyone be heard and let everyone share their story so that we can connect and actually learn from each other. I love doing public speaking, and I love listening, and I feel that as well at the age that I am, and trying to learn from anyone in the space. That's the best way for me to do it through these type of spaces as well.
You're doing it not only in these digital spaces, but as well in real life. You went to the Barcelona Hacker House, and we're also making in real life connections there. Can you talk to me about some of the dynamics between being here in the digital spaces, marketing marketing like your work, as well as some of the in real life experience there at the Hacker House?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it was definitely such a great experience to be able to, after being so many months working on the chain and just from home with a computer and on the phone and in front of a screen, to actually be able to go to an event physically and meet with artists. It was such a remarkable experience. For me, it was also the first time that my work was being exhibited, and it was also really a really one of those experiences that you will remember for a lifetime. That for that reason, I really recommend anyone that can go to any of these events to really go with, because it's a really great opportunity as an artist to be able to connect with not only artists but anyone who is in the blockchain in the end. As I said, like, Solana is a blockchain that feels very familiar. It's a close community and everyone is very driven. So I love that those opportunities that are brought up to the people that are working here in Solana, to be able to grow as well through, not only, as you said, not only through digital work but also in IRL events. And definitely it's a great way to scale your brand as well for that. And yeah.
You said you got to exhibit one of your pieces. It was from the Human Essence collection here. The writer, correct, was the one that was exhibited.
Yeah, so actually it was the whole collection of Human Essence was being exhibited. And yeah, all of the pieces were there being exhibited by going one by one. I This was actually my first collection on Exchange Art, and it was like the start of something that is just even still in a start phase. But it was a really nice collection, how it was how it came out as a result of what I thought to display as a concept. And yeah.
Can you talk to me about the background of the concept behind Human Essence? And
Definitely.
yeah,
So yeah, I've always um I I I've always been like in this sense of trying to learn from any source and growing through um, any source that I can learn from. And I say this because in the meantime I've been doing photography. I've been always very passionate about cameras and experimenting for it. But actually, when I came to Rotterdam, so I've always been like in a very artistic vibe, but never got into a point where I actually decided to be as an artist, right? But when I came to Rotterdam, I was 18, and I think it was in that moment when I started to actually take it more seriously. That was as well in that moment where I started my brand as a freelancer and called myself Jom, the jumpsuits, that logo that I have in my PFP on Twitter. And I started as well to do writing. So all of the things that I see on a daily basis, I reflected on my thoughts and on my writing. And Human Essence, I say this because Human Essence is related to this in a way that I mostly do street photography. So this was as well a great way to start in the blockchain by displaying my favorite style of work. And when I went to saw these streets, I usually go with the flow. And actually with these shots, I take the time to observe small moments of life where I always put a human subject in it to bring a story out of it. And I usually want the viewer to get the story that they get transmitted from viewing the photo, but I also take out a name or a title from what I conceive so that the viewer can understand more or less the view that I'm taking on it. And mainly I wanted to bring this concept of human essence to remind ourselves that we all go through same situations, we all go through similar emotions, we all go through similar scenes that sometimes they are so small that we don't even notice about them, but they are always there. And usually on the streets, you get to, once you do a lot of street photography, you get to understand what goes next all the time, right? Like what is going to happen, and you get to understand your surroundings. And that's what I wanted to bring to the blockchain as well with this collection, bringing 6 photos where in each of the photos there's a different type of scene, but there's always this human element, and there's always this message of capturing human essence.
Yeah, that's so beautiful and intimate and deep. And I think you capture, the written side of expressing the photography in such an eloquent way. Can you talk to me about this piece, the writer? I happen to be the collector of this piece. I was very, very excited to be the collector of it. Can you tell me the story, the setup, and how you went about capturing this image and this story here?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm really proud that you got to collect as well this piece. And this happened in Rotterdam, where I'm based. I was on one of those days taking photos in the streets, and I saw this view from a different angle. I actually saw it from the other part of the river. Well, not in the front of the background, but like in the right. And I went around, saw that he had a bike as well there. That bicycle right there in the frame really caught my eye. And the position that he was bending through, it looked like he was actually like really writing. Like he was actually like he was not writing, but the way he was positioned, like really going through his thoughts, it made me thought like looks like he's actually writing this exact moment. And I wanted to capture this to resemble that message, right, of like showing a person that is right there, just as as like even as a philosophy element, where we kind of like go through these situations where if it feels like it's only ourselves, but it is more like something that forms part of our human essence. And the whole composition, I'm really passionate about capturing lead lines in the streets, and always really looking for that composition techniques of going through lines to capture the to drag the attention of the viewer into the places of the frame where I feel that there's the most attractiveness there. And that's what happened to me with the bicycle there and with the human element. And yeah, I went through it, but after capturing it, and while I was editing, I was like, I really want to call this the writer. And it came about like this, and really like the result.
Hey, I can't argue with the result. I think it's a beautiful image, beautiful story too, that went with the setup of what one would consider maybe just a typical day in the Netherlands. Um, you have a couple more collections. I want to talk real quick on blockchain tulips because uh, I'm bullish on you. I'm bullish on you, John. I have one of these pieces as well, the birth of spring. But can you talk to me a little bit about this collection here with the blockchain tulips? Some really beautiful, beautiful shots of some of these flowers.
Yeah, thank you, man. The tulips is really typical here in the Netherlands. It's a season that just goes for 8 weeks between, I believe it's between March and May. And it's usually, well, with the start of the spring. And it's always something really beautiful to see. Like anyone that can get a chance to go to one of these tulip fields, it's all around the country. I got the chance to go one entire day on a road trip with some friends of mine, and we actually, it was a really fun day, and we spent the entire day on the fields. I got my drone, which I usually don't do a lot of drone photography in the city, but whenever I go to these types of like nature places or like really beautiful places where I see that I can, first of all, where I can fly, and then where I see that they can, where I can get like some beautiful views from, how would I say, like perspectives that we usually don't see. And the tulips is definitely was a perfect place to do that, since I feel that you can get a really good transition of colors. That's the thing about the tulips, where when you go to a field, you see like red, yellow, purple, pink, and you see so many colors that it just looks beautiful. It captivates the eye. And I really wanted to mint this on the blockchain because I felt that it was a story that is not seen at the moment in Solana, and it felt like something really new as well. So that's why I as well decided to call it the blockchain tulips, to mint it in a way where right now the tulips are minted on the blockchain and stored there for eternity.
Hey, they're gorgeous, gorgeous images. And again, like I'm super fortunate to be a collector of one of those. And now you have a new series here on Exchange called Light Up the Darkness. Can you talk to me a little bit about this architecture collection?
Yeah, definitely. Well, this one was a really fun process of working with three other photographers in the space, three beautiful photographers in the space. This collection was created together with Vlad, Neverland, and Edward. Actually, this collection started. Well, I took these photos, and while I was editing, I was actually editing live on Soul City Radio Discord with Vlad, and I actually told that, like, man, I see that one of these photos would fit perfectly with the way that you edit. I sent him cinematic light, which is one of the photos that is in the collection. I loved how it looked as a result, and I was like, man, let's do this a collab. And we got together then with Neverland and Edward. I saw that white window was a really great shot for Edward to edit because he's a black and white architectural photographer. He plays a lot with abstract in architecture and in urban areas, and it really can be seen in the result of the photo, how it really looks in the style of Edward. Same as for the photo with Neverland, where she played really well with that contrast between one side of the other and the building. And as a result, it came really well. They are actually running on auction tonight, and yeah, looking forward to see how it goes.
Hey, likewise, I look forward to seeing how those go for you. Can you talk to me about the importance of doing collabs with so many different artists, and what drew you to these artists?
Definitely. Well, I think that collabs are something that really help the ecosystem be uplifted in some way, because well, first of all, it brings photographers together to work and actually build something else. Than it's like building a relationship through these types of collaborations that are made. This was my first collection that was a collaboration, and I think that it is key as well for bringing more attention to not only one photographer but more photographers that are working together in a project. I think we've seen this as well together with the Exchange Art Photo Collective. We've seen this as well with the Lens Alliance, and I think that the more collaborations between artists, the better actually. And yeah, well, as I said, when I was with Vlad, it was actually a bit random at the beginning, but then when I saw the edit that he made, I really loved the result, and I really wanted to actually make it inside of a collection. And since three photos were taken at the same time, I then thought about not only giving the opportunity to have a collab with that, but actually make like three different collabs inside of the same collection. And well, I directly thought of Neverland and Edward as well, because they are well, the three of them are very consistent photographers in the space. They have been doing really great work as well, and I really like their style. So I thought that they would be a matching style for this type of work, and yeah, it went really well.
Hey, these are some stunning images. Just looking at them here as they get ready to go on auction. John, I really appreciate your time here on the Brick House of Art to talk about your work. What is coming up? What does the future hold for the John Shoots beyond these series. And what do you got going on with Soul City Radio? Can you keep it 100 with me?
Yeah, well, for Salt City Radio, we've actually have a lot of things coming up that we know that we're working very hard every day. First of all, with the spaces and keeping that consistent. As for example, in the Rise Before Grind show, there's many beautiful interviews that are happening at this moment. The next week is actually going to be really exciting with the Rise Before Grind show, as it is reaching in the episode 100. Same as for the Shatter, it's being really exciting to keep this consistent and bring photographers together. And in terms of developments, well, there's a couple of things coming soon to Salt City Radio, which most of them will be told as well in episode 100. So I would recommend everyone that is listening this to stay tuned for the 15th of July, when it will be the episode 100 of Rise Before Grind. And well, for my personal projects, I'm currently working on a project that I want to do of street photography in Amsterdam. I am moving soon to Japan, so before I go to Japan, I really want to take the moment to actually create a collection as well from Amsterdam and mint a story as well from there, since I think that Amsterdam is a beautiful city that has not been seen yet in Solana, and I feel that the Netherlands is gonna be known in Solana, thanks to all of this work as well. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm also working on a video project that I'm dedicating most of it for Rotterdam, showing my appreciation and my gratitude towards this city through a concept that I'm building, which is called Make It Happen. And yeah, that's most of the things coming along. But for the moment, well, everything else is just, I want to stay consistent with everything that is being done in the space. I really love what is going on here, and I'm here for the long run. I'm daily learning from everyone, and that's what I want to keep doing, growing.
Hey, bullish on your work, of all your personal work as well as your collaborative works with artists and Soul City Radio. Again, I want to thank you for your time here to talk about your work, and I look forward to a follow-up interview down the road, find out how these auctions went, and to catch up. Always have a GM.